Have you ever sat outside at night, looked up at the stars, and wondered, where did all this come from? It's a timeless question. We look at the vast universe, the billions of galaxies, the unimaginable distances and the mind-bending mysteries of space, and we feel small. We ask ourselves, where did it all begin? Who started it? And if we believe that God created the universe, who created God? This question is so simple that even a child can ask it. Yet it's so deep that philosophers, scientists, and theologians have debated it for thousands of years. Today, we're going to explore this question step by step, from the perspective of logic, philosophy, science, and spirituality. We won't just give a quick answer, we're going to dive deep. By the end, you might not only understand the logic behind the question, but you might also discover something profound about yourself and about reality itself. So, take a deep breath, grab a coffee or tea, and let's begin this journey together. Milky Way Part 1. Why do we even ask, who created God? Let's start with something basic. We live in a world of causes and effects. You exist because your parents existed. A tree grows because there was a seed. Your phone didn't magically appear, it was designed, manufactured, and sold to you. Everywhere we look, things have a cause. This is deeply wired into our brains. We're trained from birth to look for reasons and explanations. So, when we hear someone say, God created the universe, the next logical step is, who created God? This is a fair question. It's not a silly or disrespectful question. It shows that we are thinking deeply, that we want to understand ultimate reality. But to answer it, we have to examine what we really mean by God. Cyclone Part 2. The law of causality. The law of causality is one of the most fundamental ideas in science and philosophy. Every effect has a cause. If something begins to exist, there must be something that caused it. Your life began at a certain point, so you had a cause, your parents. A building was constructed, so it has an architect and builders. But here's the catch. This law only applies to things that begin to exist. If something has always existed, then it doesn't require a cause. Imagine numbers. The number 7 never began to exist at a certain moment, it just always exists as a concept. Similarly, many philosophers argue that God did not begin to exist. He simply is. When we ask, who created God? We're assuming that God is like the universe, something that started. But what if God didn't start? What if he is outside time, outside change, and simply exists necessarily? Hourglass Part 3. Time and God. One of the biggest misunderstandings is thinking of God as a being inside the universe, inside time and space. When we say, who created God? It's like asking, what is north of the North Pole? North only makes sense up to a point. Beyond that, the concept doesn't apply. Time began with the Big Bang. Before the universe, there was no before, as we understand it. God is outside time. He's not a creature who ages or evolves. He's eternal, changeless, and not bound by time's arrow. This is why Christian philosophers often say, God is the uncaused cause. He didn't come into existence, he just is, always and forever. Shooting Star Part 4. The first cause argument. One of the most famous arguments for God's existence is the first cause argument, also known as the cosmological argument. It goes like this. Everything that begins to exist has a cause. The universe began to exist. Therefore, the universe has a cause. But it doesn't stop there. You can't have an infinite chain of causes stretching back forever. That's called an infinite regress, and it doesn't make sense logically. Think of it like this. If a row of dominoes falls, each domino knocks over the next. But there must be a first domino that started the chain. The first cause is the uncaused cause, the starter of the chain, and that's what many call God. This idea isn't just religious, it has roots in philosophy going back to Aristotle and Plato. Even today, some cosmologists talk about a prime mover, or an uncaused origin, when discussing the start of the universe. Telescope Part 5. What science tells us. Science tells us that the universe had a beginning. The Big Bang Theory shows that time, space, matter, and energy all came into existence about 13.8 billion years ago. Before that, There was no time, at least not as we understand it. Some scientists propose ideas like quantum fluctuations, multiverse theories, or cyclic universes to explain the origin. But even these theories face a fundamental question. Why is there something rather than nothing? Physics can describe what happened after the universe began, but it struggles to explain why there is a universe in the first place. At some point, you still face the ultimate question of an initial cause or a necessary existence. Light bulb part 6. Misunderstandings about God. Many people think of God as a big, powerful old man living in the sky, throwing lightning bolts when he's angry. But that's not what serious theologians or philosophers mean. God isn't just the biggest, strongest thing in the universe. He's not a being among many beings. He's being itself. This means God is not part of the system. He's the foundation that makes the system possible. It's like asking, what supports the stage on which the play is performed? God is the ultimate support, not an actor on the stage. When we think of God properly, the question, who created God, no longer makes sense, because God is not something that came into being. Puzzle piece part 7. The flying spaghetti monster and similar jokes. Some skeptics say, if you can say God just exists, why can't I say the flying spaghetti monster just exists? The difference is that God is defined as a necessary being, a being that must exist and cannot not exist. The flying spaghetti monster is a made-up being. It doesn't explain anything or solve the problem of existence. It's like saying, what if my imaginary friend created the universe? That's fun to joke about, but it doesn't answer why there is something rather than nothing. God, as a necessary being, is the simplest and most profound answer to why anything exists at all. Repeat button part 8. Infinite regress and why it fails. Let's go deeper into infinite regress. Imagine a library with an infinite number of books. If you have to read every book before getting to the last one, would you ever finish? No. Or imagine a line of people waiting for a book, but each person has to wait for the person in front to finish. If the line is infinite, no one ever gets the book. Similarly, if there was no first cause, there would be no universe today. The fact that we exist means there had to be a starting point, a cause that itself wasn't caused. Thought balloon part 9. Why does this question matter? You might ask, why does it even matter? Can't we just live our lives without worrying about philosophical arguments? But this question touches on something deep inside us, our longing for meaning. If God is created, then he is not ultimate. Then he is just one more being in a long chain of causes. But if God is uncreated and necessary, then he is the ultimate source of reality, love, and meaning. This shapes how we see ourselves and our place in the universe. Are we cosmic accidents? Or are we created, known, and loved by an eternal being? Shedding tree part 10. Beyond arguments, experiencing God. It's important to remember that arguments can only take us so far. Logic can open the door, but love, beauty, conscience, and personal experience often move people deeper than any syllogism. People throughout history have claimed to encounter God through nature, prayer, acts of love, and moments of awe. This doesn't mean we throw away logic. It means logic and experience work together, like two wings that help us fly toward truth. Compass part 11. Humility in the face of mystery. Even with all our arguments, there is still mystery. We shouldn't pretend that human minds can fully comprehend the infinite. We can glimpse, we can point, but we can't completely capture God in words or equations. The fact that the question, who created God, exists reminds us of our smallness and the grandeur of the ultimate mystery. Humility is key. Asking big questions is good, but we must be willing to accept that some answers will stretch us beyond our limits. Speech balloon part 12. Objections and honest doubts. Some people will still say, I just can't believe in something I can't see or measure. That's understandable. We live in a world dominated by scientific thinking. We trust microscopes and telescopes. But even in science, we believe in things we don't see directly: dark matter, quarks, gravitational waves, all inferred from their effects. God, too, is known by his effects, the order in the universe, the moral law in our hearts, the longing for something greater, and the historical experiences of countless people. Faith isn't blind, It's a reasonable trust in something, or someone, beyond what we can fully measure. Shooting Star Part 13. The Personal Invitation. Here's the personal part. This isn't just an abstract question. If God is uncreated and necessary, and if He created you, then you're not an accident. You have value. Your life has meaning. You are loved. This is the core message of many religious traditions. You are not alone in the universe. Understanding this can change not just your mind, but your heart and your life. Speaking Head Part 14. Common Misconceptions. A quick recap of common misconceptions. Misconception 1. God is just a powerful alien or advanced being. No, God is not a being within the universe but the ground of all being. Misconception 2. Everything needs a cause, so God must too. False. Only things that begin to exist need a cause. God did not begin, He is eternal. Misconception 3. We can just say the universe is necessary instead of God. The universe is full of contingent things that depend on something else, it doesn't explain itself. Magnifying Glass Part 15. What about multiverse theories? Some suggest that if there are infinite universes, then maybe we don't need God. But even if there were infinite universes, we would still have to ask, why is there a multiverse at all? What sustains it? An infinite collection of contingent things doesn't become necessary just by being infinite. The same philosophical questions still apply. Sunrise Part 16. Awe and Wonder. One of the greatest gifts of asking these questions is rediscovering wonder. We live in a universe more beautiful and mysterious than we can imagine. Instead of making us proud, it can humble us and inspire gratitude. Whether you believe in God or not, moments of awe can open your heart to something bigger than yourself. Milky Way Part 17. Closing Reflection. So, who created God? The answer is no one. God is uncreated, eternal, and necessary. He is the foundation of all reality. But more importantly, this answer invites you to a deeper journey, not just of the mind, but of the heart. A journey of discovering why you're here, what your purpose is, and how you relate to the ultimate source of everything. We want to hear from you. Does this make sense to you? Does it challenge you? Does it inspire you? Or do you have doubts and questions? Please share your thoughts in the comments below. Let's create a space where we can have deep, respectful conversations.